You got Durant, he's an absolute superstar. Sorry guys, the video just clicked off, so I'm starting another one. So Oklahoma City, Durant number 1, and Russell Westbrook number 2. Orlando Magic, back in the heyday. I mean, this was it in a bit in the 90s, early 90s basketball. I mean, Shaq was just an absolute superstar. Look at that dunk. Oh, that's awesome. And his partner in crime, Penny. Well, those two, once again, it had two players, two guys who were new to the NBA. I think it was Penny's first year, Shaq's second year, and they went to close to the finals. I think they got swept, but you know what? They went pretty deep in the finals just because they had two good players. Those guys that stayed at Orlando, they would have won rings, no doubt. They probably would have won the Houston ones, to be honest. Philadelphia 76ers, I've gone with AI, Allen Iverson. Just a phenomenal player, great shooter, yeah, could do everything. And number 2 is Charles Barkley, absolute gun player. Once again, probably played his best games with the Sixers, Philadelphia, but didn't have the team around him. That's just pure and simple. You can't win championships with one player, and that's how it was. Phoenix Suns. This was a close one, but obviously two-time MVP, Steve Nash, gets the nod as their best player in the modern era. And Charles looks a bit surprised, but he's going, what? Second again? But yeah, Chuck, second. He had a couple of players around him, you know, Dan Marley and Danny Ainge, and still no guns that could get, or Richard Dumas. Actually, Richard Dumas was one of my first PC players until he dropped out for drug use, I believe. But anyway, 1 and 2, Nash, Barkley, Phoenix Suns. Portland Trail Blazers, once again, they haven't had a lot of this success, but when they were having success, this was the man leading them. Clyde Drexler, absolute phenomenal player and so underrated in the game. You watch his highlights, you look at his numbers, he was a gun. And if he'd had a couple more players around him, back when he's dunking on Isaiah there, but when Isaiah was ringing the rings, he would have been pushing for them as well. And the other one I've gone there is Arvydas Sabonis. So once again, I'm not having a go at Arvydas because he was a gun player, big dominant center, big body, block shots, and do what you want to do in the paint. Get rebounds and score some easy points. But you can see a bit of a difference. Clyde Drexler, Hall of Famer. Actually, Sabonis might be too. But they just didn't have those players there to click to win championships. Sacramento Kings, fairly easy one there. I would go my man Chris Webber at 1, and Mike Bibby at 2. Once again, you had two players who, when they had their shot, I hate to say it, but it was Robert Horry that hit that game winner. It was a game winner in Game 6 in LA. So I mean, they had their shot. They arguably would have won the championship if they'd gone through. Anyway, we'll never know. So Sacramento Kings 1, 2. San Antonio Spurs, obvious 2 here. You got Tim Duncan and David Robinson. 2 dominant, and once again, when they're playing together, they'll win rings. Actually, when Robinson left, they still win the rings, and they're still up there. I mean, Duncan's just phenomenal. Just incredible work ethic, and a player's going to give you everything on the court and can do everything. That's what makes him so dangerous. Toronto Raptors. Hard flip between these two, but I've gone Vince Carter at 1, Chris Bosh at 2. There you go. Both great players. Probably Carter best known for his dunking, and he just jumps like a jackrabbit. He's phenomenal. Utah Jazz. Now this is interesting, the order, but I'm happy with this. I'm going to go with John Stockton. And why I've gone with John Stockton first is because he, in the 90s and arguably in history, is the best player at his position. Getting the person the ball to shoot, he was the man. I mean, leading assists. Partner in crime, battery's about to run out, so I'm going to go a bit quicker. Karl Malone, Vancouver Grizzlies, they had Sharif Abdul-Rahim again. And I had Bryant Big Country Reeves, the big fella. Washington Wizards, to close out, is John Wall and Michael Jordan, even for the limited times he has. So once again, Herbs and Spices, thanks for the competition. Best NBA player since 1990 contest. Thanks, Herbie. Cheers, guys. See ya.